around the time of its initial release, I put together something that qualifies sort of as a review. More of a first impressions script, really, of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that I'd like to share with you today. So, without further ado, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's taken me a surprisingly long time to get my initial thoughts in order for the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. I played it for a few hours recently on a friend's file, just to explore and get a feel for the very different world, combat, and new mechanics. No narrative whatsoever. From what I found, that's more or less how the game was meant to be enjoyed. First impressions are excellent, with only a light hesitation. The game is aesthetically breathtaking, though not graphically extraordinary in a way that I at least expect to hold up for a long time, similar to Wind Waker. Terrain texture quality is simple in areas that aren't hidden underneath a blanket of snow or curtains of tall grass in a negative way. One could compare the textures of a rocky hill to that of Morrowind, a game released in 2002, for perspective. Even that gripe couldn't mar my opinion of the game visually as a whole for quite a few reasons. The character designs stand out to me, as non-player characters have an almost Studio Ghibli-like charm to them, something I felt previous Zeldas didn't always do excellently. They're all gloriously animated, shining with that special Nintendo polish. They react dynamically to their environments as they run away from monsters, take shelter in storms, and flinch as Link draws an arrow near them. The beautiful vistas visible from any vantage point in Hyrule serve mechanical purposes as well, as one of the first things I noticed playing the game was the necessity to mark one's own map themselves with waypoints as they play, rather than the Assassin's Creed formula, in which one overwhelmingly gains all information of the surrounding region from such vantage points. This dual purpose fixes the problem open-world games have begun to have over the years. Tasks used to gain information become a chore, something that gets in the way of the actual interesting part of the game. And Breath of the Wild is an integral part of that interesting face of the game. Breath of the Wild revolves around exploration in a way I have yet to see in an open-world release since probably the original Zelda. I don't really consider Dark Souls to be open-world any more than I consider Banjo-Kazooie to be open-world, but Breath of the Wild captures that desire to explore presented by the former. Structures on the horizon beckon to the player in a similar manner to Dark Souls' world. The entirety of my experience felt like the opening cutscenes of BioShock, as the player sees Rapture for the first time. This version of Hyrule is masterfully crafted and is easily the game's biggest draw. But I wonder why it's a Zelda game. As I mentioned, I had little interaction with the primary narrative. My experience had me tilting my head as to why I was controlling Link, why I was fighting traditional Zelda enemies such as Choo-Choos and Moblins. While this game is the most like the original Legend of Zelda I've seen from the series, it's also the least Zelda-like. It abandons nearly every trope established by Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time that were kept by each release since. It seems as though A Link Between Worlds, the previous release, really was Nintendo weaning us off the Zelda formula in favor of something else. And you know what? I love it. Never before have I experienced such depth apparent from the surface. Many games may be deep. In fact, a number of lines ago I cited Dark Souls and BioShock as examples. But Breath of the Wild, with my short playthrough, already feels more expansive and enticing. Breath of the Wild is a must-buy for anyone with the Wii U, and I fully intend on buying the Switch version as soon as possible. I've been drowning myself in online content just to scratch the itch since.